Hello everyone and welcome back to Crayon Code. Today we're going to build a nice little pricing page with great colors and a small ribbon. So let's get started right away with some markup. So let's start directly with the main section because this is the main content of our page, and each pricing card is going to be wrapped in a section tag, which is going to have the class plan and the class plan basic. This is a modifier class because we are going to have three different plans: basic, standard and premium. And so that's how we're going to set the different colors through CSS variables. Each pricing card is going to have a header. And inside that header, we're having the actual heading with the plan name, here in this case called basic. And the pricing is going to put in a strong tag because we want to strongly emphasize that. So it's correct semantics this way. And inside that strong tag, we want to set the price in a distinct layout. So we're going to split this in three different tags. One is going to be the currency, and this one's going to have different formatting from the other parts. So let's make it actually euros. And after that, we are having the integer part of the price, which is in this case 8. And yeah, of course, it's going to have a few cents. So let's put the decimals here. And it's going to have 99 cents and span. So that's how we're going to format this in one piece. Right now it looks more like 899 euros, but we will fix that through formatting. Directly below the header, there's going to be the plan description. So we're also using a corresponding CSS class, plan description, and put just some marketing text here like anywhere else. So, and below that, we are having a list of features which are available in that plan, or like we are going to have all features here, and we are putting a check mark next to each feature which is included in that plan. And that's why we're using an unordered list, and each list item which is actually present is getting the active class. Here it's called get deployment, and yeah, that way. So let's put a little bit more priority support. And yeah, let's say it's 99.9% uptime SLA. That way, looks good. And finally, of course, we want to give the user the possibility to sign up for that plan. So we're having a link that is there for signing up and simply has the label also sign up. Not HA, very good. Yeah, very nice. Looks quite unstyled yet, so let's get this fixed by actually now heading over to the CSS code. So here let's first start with a little bit of a background. We're going to define two different variables for background colors. One, because we're going to make a gradient, so that's why we need two background colors, which we're going to set directly on the body tag. It's a linear background. Not linear background, it's on the background property a linear gradient which is running in an angle of -45 degrees and running from the BG color to the secondary BG color. So we should already be able to see something. Yeah, very good. So yeah, looks still a little bit messed up, which is why we are not having set the min height property to 100 VH. So it takes the entire viewport height, so 100% of it. And we also want to get rid of that scroll bar on the right, which we can achieve by using a basic reset of padding 0, margin 0, and box sizing border box on every element which is present. And this also, of course, affects the body, so we are not having any padding and margin on it. And that's what makes the scroll bar disappear finally. Now let's also center the content a little bit. We're using therefore display flex and the justify content property being set to center, which makes it look very good here, at least horizontally centered. And since the font is also still a little bit messed up, let's take care of that. Here we're going to set the font family directly on the HTML tag because we want to set it only once and not multiple times. We're using the Montserrat font and the System Sans Serif as a fallback, and the default font size of 18px. And this one is quite important in this spot because this is the basic measure which is used for each usage of the RAM unit. because the rem unit is always relative to the font size of the root element, which is in this case the HTML element. So, and yeah, let's also set a font weight by default of, let's make it 200. Yeah, to use it a little bit on the lighter side. Good. Now, where does this come from? I included here in the external style sheet here, on one hand, Font Awesome from CDN.js and from Google Fonts, the Montserrat font in various different weights, because we will be using quite a few of them. So that's where the font is coming from. Good. Now let's proceed and take care of the main tag. This one is going to be a grid container because we're going to have 3 different pricing cards, and I want all of them nicely aligned with a little bit of a gap, 2 rems between all of them. And I don't want to define all the columns by myself. So I'll use the auto flow, which means that every new element in the grid container gets its own column. And I want, the gap I already have, but I want to have the place content property set to center, so that such that everything is centered quite well. All right, now let's take care of the actual plan styling. Let's first define here a few variables, because we have to reuse the border radius variable quite a few times. So we set it to 0.5 rem, and we're needing spacing horizontal in quite a few places, I think. Yeah, let's do it that way. Let's set it to 2 rems, and it needs a background color, its own background color, because this one here now is overriding the variable from before. And we are having a list. Our feature list is going to have an alternating row color, which means that we're using the alternation, BG alternation variable, which is a strongly faded black, just 5% of it. So it will nicely blend with the white in the background, and the standard foreground color will be a slightly faded black in this case, which is of 90% here. Good. And now, of course, I want to define the actual size of the pricing card, which is, let's make it 15 rem in this case. So let's apply the obvious stuff first. The background color here with the BG color variable, and the text color with the FG color variable in the beginning. Good. Now, let's also apply the width, which is, of course, our size. Oh, yeah, already stretching down. And the border radius from the variable we have defined before. Yeah, only one border radius. Good, very nice. Now, in order to make layouting a little bit easier, let's use display grid also here. And this time we're going to use the auto flow property, but in row mode, because we want to each section have its own row, because we want to have a vertical layout. That's why we're using that here. And yeah, it's actually font weight 200 is a little bit less, so let's increase it to 500. Yeah, much better for readability. And let's make the card stand out a little bit more with a box shadow of 4 pixels in the horizontal shifted, 8 pixels shifted vertically, 16 pixels off blur, no grow, and use the foreground color so we can have it stand out a little bit more. Very nice. Good. Okay, so as I said in the beginning, there is a plan basic modifier class, and here I'm just going to define a few colors where we have a highlight primary, which is a little bit more greenish one, and a highlight secondary, which is a blue, not RGB, RGB is enough here, 199 and 255. Very good. So you're not seeing this, but we will make this visible very soon, because let's take care of the plan's header. And actually, let's start with the plan headers after pseudo-class, because I want to put the slightly rounded gradient in the header. So that's why we're going to use the pseudo-class. Don't forget this one here, because if you omit this one, nothing will be visible. Let's position this one absolutely. And that's why we are going to also set here in this case, let's directly select the header, put position relative, because we want the absolute position of the after pseudo element be relative to the actual header element. That's why I need to set position relative on the header element itself. So we are having, let's actually make this a perfect circle, which means that we're setting border radius 50. Yeah, it's actually not a circle here, it will be an ellipse. but we want the border radius to round off every edge so that there is no straight edge in the end left anymore. And the width is going to be 200%, and let's make it also height, also 200%. But we want to see actually some, yeah, let's put some color on it, which is the linear gradient here again, which is also running from minus 45 degrees forward to HI secondary at, yeah, let's start with 20%, and the HI primary at 80%. Yeah, forgot totally about the position. So here we have minus 100% on the top. Yeah, and left on minus 50% because we want to have it centered. And yeah, very important here, we need the overflow to be hidden on that one. Yeah, perfect. So that's how it looks. Let's actually also, yeah, change this one here to 60%. Yeah, much better because the color was a little bit more missing. And here, let's go to 25%. Yeah, more of the blue is also visible. Very good. Now, you can see that it's actually covering the text. This is not what's desired. That is why we're setting the C index to -1. And now we don't see anything at all anymore. But we also set at the same time the C index of the header to 1, which of course perfectly puts the right order. And we are losing now the rounded edges here, which means that we are going to recover from that through setting the border radius again. And since we already put that in a variable, we don't have to spread the same value over and over. We just use the variables here. And now it looks actually like it should. Very nice. So let's actually now take care of the text content inside the header, which is, yeah, let's take care of the headline. Yeah, black actually looks not that nice here. So let's use the background color on the gradient itself and adjust the font size actually. First let's align the center. Let's align the text to the center, much better. And increase the font size. No, actually let's decrease it to 1.5 rems. And change the font weight down to 400 because that doesn't look that thick anymore. And I think it looks much nicer if we're going to put the dead text in uppercase. Yeah, so much better. And let's also take care of the padding a little bit more. So let's make it 1.5 rem vertical and nothing horizontal. Yeah, perfect. Very nice. Good. It's now very readable. Now for the price itself, let's make it look less than 899 euros and a little bit more like 8.99 euros. We're having 3 elements inside there, so let's put this as a flex container and let's totally prevent that flex container from wrapping anything. And let's also put everything in the center, at least horizontal. Yeah, very good. Okay, I think it's still sticking a little bit too much off the bottom, or too much to the bottom of the circle. So let's put a little bit of a margin here, 1 rem. Yeah, much better. Now for each element inside the price tag, which is here, not sibling, but descendant selector, and we don't care about the tag, just everything which directly descends from plan price, is also a flex container and aligns its content to the middle, which is not very well visible here, but we will see soon why. And let's also, of course, take care of the color here. Let's set the BG color here and adjust the font weight down to 400 as well. Yeah, much better. So let's actually make the prices integer part stand out a little bit more because this is the most important part of the price. So we're going to use 3 rems here. Yeah, very nice. And the currency is important, but not as much as important as the actual integer part. So we're using the currency selector to put down the font size a little bit. Yeah, let's actually use 1.5 rems. That's actually a little bit bigger, but yeah, fits very well. And the margin right, I want to be 0.5 rems to make it a little bit more yeah, less attached to the 8. And the euro sign should not be at the top, which is why we're going to put align items to flex and to make it align to the bottom. Very good. And now you can see a problem because the euro sign is below the baseline of the 8, which is the reason why we are going to use the line height of 2 rems. Not enough. 2.5. No, should be 5. Yeah, perfect. So now they are on the same line. And you can see that the 99 cents are nicely aligned to the top of the 8. We want to keep it that way, but tweak it a little bit more. So the decimals are getting the font size explicitly set to 1 rem. Not directly necessary, but we can do it anyways. Good, okay. Now let's advance a little bit to the plan description. Let's first take care of the positioning. So we're using 1 rem, and here now we're using the spacing horizontal variable. And also using a margin of 1 rem and 0 rem here. So 1 rem vertically and 0 rem horizontally. Or the other way around could also be. Let's actually give it a try. Yeah, this is the 0 rem horizontally and 1 rem vertically. Good. And font size is actually still a little bit too large, so we're setting it to 0.75 rems. But also let's align the text to the center and also transform it to uppercase. Would be very nice, yeah. Good, okay. To make this stand out a little bit more, we are going to add a ruler to the top and the bottom, which is why we're using the before and the after pseudo-class. And again, don't forget the content empty string, otherwise nothing will be visible. And we're again setting this to an absolute position, which is, I want this absolute position be relative still to the paragraph, which is actually giving description. So let's also set position relative here. Now let's give it a background first, because we want to see something. This one is going to, this time not minus 45 degrees, but 90 degrees. And it's again running from the highlight primary to the highlight secondary. And nothing visible yet, so let's give it a little bit of height. Let's say 2 pixels. And of course we need to position that thing. On one hand, we want to have it, let's try 0. And right also 0. Yeah, that's way too much. So let's put this one here in the spacing horizontal, and same for the right here. Good, okay, so you can see that the lower one is still running directly through the text. So let's get this fixed by actually individually addressing the before pseudo element now and setting it to top 0%. Yeah, and now this also takes the padding and margin into account, and also the plan description after element, which is the lower one. And this one is going to be at 100% top. So yeah, it perfectly aligns with the lower border. Good, now that's all we need for the description. Now let's take care of the features list. So first I want to get rid of these ugly dots on the left side there. So list style type will be set directly to none. We don't want to see that anymore. And the margin bottom, because it's still quite glued to the sign up link. So let's set the margin bottom to 1 rem and give it a little bit more space. Here. That one was missing. Perfect, good, okay. Now, the plan features list items are going also to have a padding of 0.5 rems, and again the spacing horizontal, because we want to have it nicely aligned with the headlines, and not the headline, but the ruler of the description. So that's why we're using it here again. And I think that's all we need for the list item itself, but we want to have this one to have a checklist. So we're addressing the before pseudo element of each list item and put a Unicode character in here, which is the not FOO, F00. See, this is the Unicode character of the check mark of font awesome. You can also use it here, but at the same time you then have to set the font family to font awesome 0.5 free. And since the font weight is not already given, this is a solid variant, so we need font weight 900, and we can see beautiful check marks here. Now let's give them actually a nice little color, the bullet color. I wonder if they have already defined that. Actually, I haven't, so let's get up again for the plan description's basic color configuration, which is somewhere up here. There, here, perfect. And then let's put the bullet color, which is, yeah, let's make it the same as the highlight secondary. Yeah, very nice, good, okay. Let's get down again. Let's put a little bit of margin, 0.5 rems, because we want to put a little bit of space between the check mark and the text. And now, since not every feature is active, we set visibility to hidden, which is quite awesome because it hides the check mark but still reserves the place. So that's the difference also to display none. Display none also releases the space the element usually would have taken, and this visibility hidden preserves the space but just doesn't render it. So that's actually what we want here, because every time we have a list item in plan features, which also has the active class, we're going to address the before pseudo element and just set visibility to visible. And this actually makes the layout stable, and we can hide and present the check marks as we need them without actually causing a layout reflow. And since I already wanted to have this list an alternating row color, we're again addressing the LIs in the plan features list, and here with the nth child to n. And this now is a little bit tricky. The nth child selector really is worth learning. So for the first element, let's say here, if you have an equation 2n equals 1, you cannot write that here, but just for purpose of clarity, if there is an n that satisfies this equation, the selector matches. And since there is no n that can make this one here 2 equal 1, because n always must an integer number, this will not select the first element. But if we take care of the second element, there is an n that satisfies this equation, and that's why it works, that we can actually use the nth child selector for alternating row colors, because here we are just writing the left part of the equation and the browser takes care of the right part. And here we're going to just set the background color var bg alternation. Yeah, and you can see that the second item is colored. Very good. Okay, good. Now, finally, let's get to an end and style the sign up link. Let's give it first a nice little background color, which is again a linear gradient, and again running from -45 degrees, and again running from highlight secondary to, yeah, let's make it here the highlight primary. So you have the order flipped here, should make it stand out a little bit more. I know it's still the same. Okay, perfect. Good. Now, yeah, it's actually not very nice with the blue color of the text. So let's also use the BG color like in the header here for the foreground color. And let's get really rid of the text decoration, the underlining. We don't want that, so text decoration will be none. And let's put the text to the center. And let's make it also uppercase here in that case. So very good. Okay, now we're again lost the round edges. So we could again do it that way, that we set the border bottom left radius to the variable border radius. And do the same thing for the bottom right radius. So very nice. And let's put, of course, some padding here, padding double D, where we also say, yeah, let's actually use the same padding as the border radius. Let's actually make it, no, it's stupid. Let's make it just 1 rem. Actually, it looks much better if we put the border radius on all of them. So let's get rid of that. Yeah, so much better. So we have all corners rounded now. Good. Now this is basic setup of the pricing card. Now I said that we are going to use 3 pricing cards. So let's duplicate this one 2 more times. And this one here is going to be the plan standard and the plan premium here. You can see layer is there, colors are missing. Yeah, it's actually decreased the font size for a moment to see all 3 cards very well. Where is it? Here, let's get down to maybe 14 pixels, which should make everything a little bit smaller. Very good. So now we are going to use here this one. We have one standard, which is slightly different because we are using a yellowy color for the primary. It's not just yellowy, it's a real yellow. And a pink color for the secondary. So 255, 0, and yeah, let's make it 171. And let's use for the premium blue color 173, 255, and for the secondary color also, yeah, let's use a little bit more of a pinkish color. No green, and 201 here. So and that's actually cool. So just by adjusting these three classes, you can completely adjust the color scheme of each pricing card. And now let's also take care of the check marks. And you can see now how awesome this is, because we're putting just here the CSS classes, and you can see that the check marks are reappearing here without actually changing the layout. And here only the first two are given. Actually, now let's also change here. Let's use the blue color, primary color here for the check marks. Yeah, perfect. Oh yeah, forgot something. Here, this one is the standard plan, and of course let's change the header also for the premium plan. This one is 28 and this one is 18 euros. Now you can see it already adjusts. Good. Now, in quite a few pricing pages, the one plan is specially highlighted as the one which is providing the best value for the customer. So we are adding an emphasis to the standard plan, which is getting the class plan best value. And inside there, we're just going to use a div. Why we need that div, I will show you later. And let's simply put a font awesome that has FAS and the FA star class. Yeah, very good. So now, yeah, still looks quite a little bit messed up. So let's take actually care of this through some CSS code. Here directly at the bottom, we are going to add a plan best value CSS selector. So let's put this one here in an absolute position mode. And I want to have this on the top right corner. And yeah, to make this actually work, we need to readjust the positioning of the actual plan. Here, this one, yeah, does not have position relative at the moment. So let's add it, position relative. And you can see the star should reappear. Yeah, I guess this is also a C index issue, because we have been messing with the C index here. If we are going to put C index 2, the star, yeah, there it is. Good. Okay, now let's first take care of position, which means that we're going to set top to minus 0.2 rems, because I want to have this ribbon lap out a little bit. And on the right side, I wanted to have 0.75 rems, which is basically the same like the border radius, because I don't want to overlap this with the border radius. Now for the actual ribbon design, let's select the plan best value and the direct descendant. We don't care about the actual descendant. That's why I just put a div in there. I want this one to have a padding of 1 rem and 0.5 rems. Should already adjust. Very nice. So star position actually looks quite good. And the background, I want it to be a linear gradient again. Let's make it, yeah, let's use a color code here, 101010, and a little bit also darker, 2B. Let's make it 45 degrees. Now it's actually like, yeah, let's make it again minus 45 degrees, because we want to have the brighter color in the top left corner, which we can achieve by minus 45 degrees. And I want the ribbon to stand out a little bit more through its shape, which is where we're going to use a clip path as a polygon. So now polygon simply is a list of XY coordinates, and the top left corner is always 0, 0. Never mind that. The top right corner is also 100% and 0. And the bottom right corner is 100%, perfectly fine. Now I want to add one in the middle, which is a little bit shifted upwards, which is why I'm going to use 50% on the x-axis and calculate 100% minus 0. Yeah, let's make it 75 rems. And the bottom left corner is also again 0 and 100% here. And you can see it already changes its shape, and 7.5 is a little bit too much, so let's make it 0.5 here. Very nice. Now the star is still a little bit messed up because it's not very well visible. So let's adjust the color by using the BG color variable here, which makes a star stand out a little bit more. Very nice. And now I want to add a filter to the best value emphasis tag. And that's why we need the div, because if you use the clip path on an element, you cannot directly use the filter or drop shadow property on it. So that's why we have this wrapper in between. And now add the drop shadow to the to the outer container, which then gets it applied properly. Let's use 3 pixels here, 3 pixels, 2 pixels blur. And keep in mind, drop shadow only takes 3 values for the actual shadow configuration, not 4 and 0. So perfect. So the drop shadow does not have a value for grow. It only has for the horizontal shift, vertical shift, and the blur, and not for the grow. Yeah, very nice. You can see here the ribbon has a nice little shadow, which makes it stand out a little bit more. Let's actually tweak it a little bit more down to 2 pixels. Very cool. And you can also see that here it laps a little bit out of the pricing card, so it gives it a little bit more physical look, which makes it look really, really nice. Yeah, and that's already it. I hope you enjoyed creating this nice little pricing page with me. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode.